side, Steven Stamkos blocked off by Letty. And then the intercept and the lead pass for Barzal. Moving in, he shoots and scores! 21 seconds of the third without a whistle. A drive by Pullock, he scores! Nice up from the left circle, goes wide. And that will do it. The Islanders take game one.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the All Things Rangers podcast. It's great to be back in Long Island doing this again. But instead of being on the road, although I'm going to work out all the kinks on the road, I'm going to not be traveling as much or figure it out when I go. Anyway, but unfortunately, we got a lead again with the Islanders. I'm your host, Marc Williams. I'm actually camera ready today, and I am joined by, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, and always on time, Mr. John Filkowski.
Well, I guess the first part's, I guess I'll take the last part. Definitely not. Adam Boxer Norris, though.
And I agree with that one 100%. And, of course, the man who's still watching his team in the playoffs right now, a Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Rock the barn tomorrow. Let's go.
All right. Well, all right. That's where we're going to have to start because the A block will be, of course, the New York Islanders, who took game one from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got it from a Matt Barzal goal on a breakaway, partially checked. But, do you think he was going 5-0 on that one? But either way, it still worked. And then a gift goal as Ryan Pullock's blast went through Andrei Vasilevsky. They held on as Braydon Point had a power play goal at the end. Brock Nelson would have one of the two goals. Him and Matt Barzal would score. Nelson would actually tie the game after a controversial power play. More on that in a moment. But the Islanders went down 4-1. Victor Hedman, a goal and an assist. Nikita Kucherov, 2 assists. So, unfortunately, we had to do the preview without Filk. And can I just get? Were you able to see it?
No, unfortunately, I was not.
I needed you to grade my my WWE trash talk because I was trying to.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that then because I didn't think you were actually gonna do it. I thought you were just messing with me there. So.
I thought he did a pretty good job, Phil. You'd be proud. I thought he did a solid job.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you guys are the wrestling experts on that. All right, so. By the way, if you're joining us right now, we got a lot to talk about on the show. We got Gerard Gallant and a lot of other NHL news. But delving into this series. So far, guys, the Islanders and Lightning are tied 1-1. What have we learned? Anthony, to you first.
Well, I'll kind of start off and say what we've learned. Just game one and game two, kind of different stories. As I told you guys in the group chat after game one, the Islanders went into Tampa Bay and they smacked them in the mouth. They said, you guys are high octane, but, we're going to give you nothing. And they did. They gave them nothing. The Lightning got that 6-on-4 power play goal with under a minute left. But other than that, the Islanders held all their big guns in check. They played a perfect road game. And, yeah, they were just clearly the better team. Last night, Tampa Bay came out. They came out flying, and rightfully so, because I mean, I don't know what you gentlemen think, but let's face it, if the Islanders went up 2-0 in this series, in my opinion, I mean, it would have been all but over at that point because Tampa Bay, even if they split in the Coliseum, they'd be, at that point, you're talking 3-1, and they'd have to win 3 games in a row, and they're a good team, but winning 3 games in a row against another very good team in the Islanders, that would have been a hard proposition. So, the Lightning came out hard like I expected them to. They couldn't afford to go down again, and they played the better game. There's no question about it. But what I think I learned was, in terms of game two, is that even though the Lightning played really good, the Islanders kind of beat themselves. You look at that second goal. I'm not even talking about the too many men on the ice, just the play itself. Barzal just totally abandoned his guy to go help. I mean, I get it. Nikita Kucherov is a prolific scorer, playmaker. He went to go help out Nick Leddy, but Nick Leddy had Kucherov kind of just on the wall. He wasn't an immediate threat to go by him to the net. Barzal made a split-second decision to go help him out. I thought maybe he probably thought he could disrupt the play, and he left Pullock wide open in the slot. And, even if you leave an average NHL player all alone in the slot, there's a good chance they're going to score a goal. So that was all on Barzal. And then the third goal, Adam Pelech, who's been getting a lot of praise lately, he was under no duress. And he had the puck behind the goal line, and I think he tried to bank it off the boards to Beuvillier, and he put too much on it, and it went right to Jan Ruda, and he took a slap shot from the point, and he beat Varlarmov. So those two goals were self-inflicted decisions by the Islanders that the Lightning didn't even force them into. So, look, Tampa Bay is a great team. They have a hard enough time shutting them down. They can't be beating themselves like that. So the Islanders need to get back to playing the way they did in Game 1. Being home for Game 3 will help them. They'll have all the crowd on their side. They play really well at the Coliseum. So just get back to the way they played in Game 1. And I guess the last positive I'll take from myself is Tampa Bay's power play is unreal. And they gave the Lightning 5 power play opportunities, which you don't want to do. But despite that, they only allowed 1 power play goal. So for a power play that's operating over 40%, allowing them to only convert 1 time, that's a positive. But what we've learned, this is going to be a nasty series. It was chippy, it was physical, and I'm excited to watch this all play out. I think it's going to be a hell of a series.
Filk, go to you first. Well, not to you first, obviously second.
What I've learned is that this series might even be more entertaining than the Florida series, to tell you the truth, because I think the Islanders are a better team than Florida, obviously, and they can skate with Tampa Bay. They can shut them down, which they did in Game 1, but there's a lot of physicality and there's still a lot of vitriol from last year. So I think this is going to be an even more entertaining series, and so far it has been. Tampa Bay played a horrible game in Game 1. John Cooper was right. Their heads weren't in the game. The Islanders played well. You give them credit there. But Tampa Bay did not play well at all in Game 1. They shot themselves in the foot multiple times, just like the Islanders shot themselves in the foot multiple times in Game 2. I don't think either team is going to play as bad of a game as they've played in their losses for the rest of the series. I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a lot of tight-knit hockey. I think the games are probably going to be more like 2-1, 1-2, or 3-2, or maybe even 1-0 games at this point. I think both teams really just felt each other out in these first 2 games and kind of got their goals out of the way. We also learned that Tampa Bay can, in fact, score at even strength. That was something Anthony was saying that they had trouble doing because a lot of their production was coming on the power play. But when you draw as many penalties as Tampa Bay does, that's what happens. You have a bunch of guys that really convert on the power play, and if they're going to get their goals from the power play, then you can't give them penalties. I would say kudos to the Islanders for, like Anthony said, 5 opportunities, 1 goal. I mean, that's still a 20% clip, which is still good enough, especially in the playoffs, because usually teams don't operate at 40% in the playoffs. Unreal. But I mean, there's a lot of positives for Tampa. There's definitely a lot of positives for the Islanders too. Islanders get last change going back into their building for the next 2 games. They have to take advantage of that. I know Anthony was referring to before we got on the air that J.G. Padro was deemed to be okay by Barry Trotz, even though he only played 5 minutes in the third period. I didn't see much of him. I was looking out for him, and I still didn't see him. So, I mean, I went back and watched everything again, and I still didn't really see much of him. So I'm guessing that's just a bad job on my part then. But, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing to even to have to say that he's okay. I would still be a little worried. Maybe not. All right, you know what? Maybe not worried, but concerned. I would be a little concerned, even that he tweaks something, because you never know how it is. Players tell you that they're okay all the time when they're really not. They play through injuries. Marc, Ryan McDonough, 2015, broken foot.
Yep.
Played through it. So, but I liked what I saw from each team in each of the 2 games. I thought they were both very good. I thought they both made some good plays. I think each one of them stuck each other's game to the other team. So now I think the feeling process is over. Now we're going to get the real heavyweight battle from here on out.
Well, Tampa is, as I said before, they're not going to be fazed by going to hostile environments like the Coliseum. They're just not. If anything, when we talk about the barn rock, and it's going to be something maybe to boost the Islanders as opposed to, say, rattle Tampa. Tampa tried working the perimeter completely in Game 1, and they never got to the middle. The Pullock goal last night was an example of what they're trying to do. Trying to work the outside and then get into the inside. And, there were 7 guys. First, Anthony, you're right about the D-zone coverage, but 7 guys on the ice. How is that not picked up or reviewable? I mean, I know you could say, oh, maybe 2 of the guys weren't even in the play, but I mean, that's ridiculous. That cannot happen. That can never happen. And the Ruda shot, that was, it was on a giveaway, but also Varlamov had no chance on it. Bailey's got to get a little bit further out there for him.
He didn't see it.
Yeah, he had no chance. And by the way, I think even if he saw it, there was no chance. That was far down.
He missed Bailey by about that much. That was a perfect shot. You can't Varlamov on that.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, and again, I'm not faulting him on it.
No, you're not. Who wants to blame Varlamov? I would challenge you to try to stop a shot that well placed that missed a player by that much.
But again, so last night was more of what Tampa wants to do, and that's what we have. That's where you got looking forward. Stop, keep him to the outside. Don't let him in the inside, and the Islanders got this series then. Go into the controversy from last night. And I got it queued up right over here. Oh, wait, I probably... See, this is what happens when you try to go do one thing first. This is Adam Pelech, and I was listening to it on the way in, and I was listening to the Tampa feed on NHL radio. And it was absolutely horrendous. First off, by the way, the feed, I'll talk about that in a minute. But all I heard was, okay. And I saw the little spirited debate between you guys on it, but that to me looks like Adam Pelech shoves him right into Varlamov.
It is. It's not looks like it is. It's absolutely, he literally cross-checks him right into him. And a picture that you have that too. That wasn't even taken by somebody else. But he absolutely extends his arms. He's point blank at that point, no point. And he has no chance of stopping. Because at that point, at the speed that he's going at, he doesn't even have enough time to turn his hips to make the stop. He's going to go end over end if he tries to do that. And he's going to hurt Varlamov even more. It's a stupid. Defensemen shouldn't be doing it, and they should be penalized when it does happen. And you know what? That needs to be reviewed. Just like the third and too many men on the ice call needs to be reviewed. It all needs to be reviewed. These referees, too many mistakes at this point. Too many mistakes. There has to be some sort of accountability, and there's none. And you know what? When you try to say something about it, there's nothing you can say, because if you criticize them, you're getting fined for it. It's stupid. So you know what? Something needs to change. In the CBA, it has to change. I'm sorry, but it needs to change.
Before I just toss this over to Anthony, and he's going to call this Chris Kreider incident. Actually, that was the joke. Anthony, what are your thoughts on the play?
Well, there's no doubt about that. The reason why Point went into Varlamov was because, Adam Pelech helped him get there. I don't think it was goaltender interference. It shouldn't have been a penalty, but unfortunately these days referees, when they see a player go into a goalie, a lot of the times their initial reaction is just to call goaltender interference because of the stigma of a player crashing into a goalie. Not allowed. So the majority of the time they call it goaltender interference, but in this case it shouldn't have been. As far as Adam Pelech, Pelech pushed Point into. My whole argument was that Adam Pelech didn't go like this and go back like extremely hard and push Braydon Point. Braydon Point was a little bit in front of him, and he had his. It was his arms. He didn't rear back.
Let me ask you a question. If Braydon Point is untouched, he's not touched there at all. You think he crashes into Semyon Varlamov?
It's obvious. Pelech pushed Point into and pushed him into it.
Don't dance around it. Answer the question.
No, if he doesn't make contact with Pelech, it's not getting pushed in.
Thank you. That's interference.
But
that's interference. That's interfering with someone. If you interfere with someone on a breakaway, is that not a penalty shot?
If the guy has the puck and you try to stop them,
like Point did.
That's not interference. I mean, yeah, if you trip him or slash him, it's a penalty. But you can't pull interference on somebody when a player has the puck.
From behind, cross-checking, which is a penalty, is that not a penalty shot by definition?
The penalty shot by definition is if you take away a scoring opportunity from a player that's on a breakaway.
Blasting him into the back and sending him into the goaltender. You just stated before that if that doesn't happen, it's a breakaway and he doesn't crash into him. So 1 + 1 is 2, not 4. So
yeah, but I think that also goes into the Marc Scheifele argument I was giving you. Like, what's Pelech supposed to do? Just let him walk in?
Scheifele is a completely different argument.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying it goes into the argument about you got to do something in order to get there.
I get it.
Right. But wait, hold on. Does the penalty come from Alex Kalorin's contact with Varlamov in Game 1?
The problem is with these calls that they don't call them right and they don't review it. If Dwight King gets his goal overturned in 2014 in Game 2,
huge.
That's a completely different series. And then, you know what happened after that? They started reviewing goaltender interference. It needs to change. It needs to be called. If you're going to take away a scoring chance by impeding them, by doing that, yes, you're impeding them. You're not slowing them down by hooking them or tripping them. You're impeding them by taking away their time by cross-checking someone in the back. If I go straight into that camera like that while trying to make a move on a goaltender on a breakaway, that's being impeded. You can't do that. It's still a penalty. Even though it's not a cross-checking penalty, it's interference. You're impeding somebody. That has to change. It has to be reviewed. No matter what.
Interference. The problem is interference is when you get in a guy's way who doesn't have the puck. When you take away his path to the puck when he doesn't have the puck. That's interference.
That's not just interference.
That's interference.
Plays too. Interference is anything away from the puck.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next part of this before we have to get our striped shirts on. But you know what? Actually, we'll just go right to it. Is the refereeing the most disappointing part of this series so far?
One of them.
All right.
I would say one of them. Like, you have too many men on the ice, Paul, which was absolutely atrocious. How do you not see? I get the sixth man is pretty much at the bench, has nothing to do with the play. And that's just a breakdown on the Islanders' part, like Anthony mentioned before. But you still have to make that call. They still have the puck. It's technically still a penalty. You have to call that. There's no way around it. But you also cannot give the Islanders a power play for their own man shoving a player while he's past that. He's down below the hash marks when he gets shoved.
A power play that they capitalized on.
Yeah, and they capitalized on that. So you know what? Even if you take those 2 goals away, Tampa Bay's still winning that game by a significant margin, and they were still the better team. But you know what? These kinds of calls cannot be happening in this postseason. And you know what? And I hope to God that this series isn't decided by something stupid in a pivotal game in a pivotal moment. Because these two teams are too good, and this could be too entertaining of a series to let that happen. I don't want the bullshit. I want this to be decided fair.
Anthony, what's disappointing you the most so far?
Well, I mean, aside from the refereeing, it's hard for me to pinpoint a player or anything on the Islanders because, they split in Tampa Bay. That's all you could ask for. They played a really good Game 1 and Game 2. They made some
That's what you
mistakes,
have for.
but I don't. Yeah, I don't think anybody is not playing up to par. So it's hard for you to say what's disappointing me.
I'll give you a player.
It's actually.
I'll give you a player from two teams, actually, now that I just thought about it. For the Islanders, I'll tell you, Ryan Pullock needs to be better. Adam Pelech's been all-world. Adam Pelech has been one of the best defensemen in the entire playoffs. But Ryan Pullock has not pulled his own weight. He's got to be better. He's got to be way better than what he was, especially last night. I thought he was awful last night. And for Tampa, Mikhail Sergachev. Sergachev's been awful. He had another bad game last night. And they had, I would say, early in the game, in the first period, I think he had like 4 turnovers alone. And I think 2 of those could have went for goals if they were converted. So Mikhail Sergachev and Ryan Pullock, if I'm Barry Trotz and John Cooper, I'm looking at the 2 of you.
All right. So in that case, anything surprising you guys so far? Anthony, you first.
I guess I'm a little surprised about how the Lightning are having a little bit of a hard time slowing down Barzal. And in game 1, Barzal it's very, very rare this happens, but he totally turnstiled Victor Hedman on a play where he beat him, and then Vasilevsky got like his arm on the shot. It was actually not that long before he scored his breakaway goal. But he's buzzing out there. He's skating well. He's creating chances, and for Tampa Bay, who has such good skating defensemen like Sergachev, Hedman, even McDonough, Barzal's still skating out there and creating his chances. So that's great news for the Islanders. I just thought Tampa Bay would be playing harder on him.
Filk?
I mean, there's not a lot that's really surprising me. I know Victor Hedman's playing hurt, so I mean I can kind of see why he hasn't necessarily been himself, but he's still putting up points. What I guess I could say for what really surprised me is that Jan Ruda's goal last night was, I believe, the first goal by a Tampa Bay defenseman in the playoffs, they were saying. So I guess that would surprise me. I mean, for the Islanders, I guess the rebounding of Semyon Varlamov, not that it's totally surprising, but I thought when Ilya Sorokin came in during the Pittsburgh series, I thought that was going to start the Sorokin era on the island. And Varlamov said, not so fast, kid. And Varlamov's been really good. So I guess the rebounding, and to the extent that he's rebounded, because he's been pretty damn good in these playoffs so far. So
I guess, you know what? I was going to say nothing has shocked me so far in this series, because game 1 went, I think midway through the game, I texted in our group chat, the pace of this game greatly favors the Islanders, and then it did. And Barzal would score, I think, about a minute after that. I gotta agree with the Varlamov thing though, but I'll say the testament to Barry Trotz too. I said before, he's navigated this situation before with Grubauer and Holtby, and it's not the same, but it's you have a starting goalie, you go to someone else, and then you go back to your original goalie, and you know what, Varlamov showed up for the Bruins series, and then that was it. All right, so who needs to step up for Game 3, guys?
Anthony.
I gotta go Jordan Eberle. Like I said, Barzal's been going ever since Game 3 against Boston when he scored that goal to tie that one. Ever since then, that woke him up. Leo Komarov's not going to really help him out offensively, so Jordan Eberle needs to step up his game and get going, give Barzal, a threat to where Tampa Bay needs to make sure they cover Eberle, because if Barzal gets him the puck, it's not going to be good. He really needs to get going. For a guy who's not very physical, I thought his board play and his battle level's been good. He just hasn't gotten on the score sheet enough for me. I know he scored that power play goal in Boston in Game 5, but he needs to score more because the Islanders are getting their production. Nelson woke up, and Beuvillier, Bailey have been good. Pajot, Palmieri, Eberle needs to start pulling his weight. So he needs to start putting the puck in the net and create some chances.
That was going to be one of mine, but but I'm going to go back to Ryan Pullock. He's got to be better in the next game. He's got to be. I think that pairing in general wasn't as good. I think Tampa Bay kind of had their way with them last night. 3 of those goals came in even strength, and I think 2 of those goals were against that pairing, if I'm correct. I think the third one actually might have been as well. I'd have to go back and look at it again, but I know 2 were against that pairing. So
the first one, the third one, definitely.
Yeah.
The second one, Nick Leddy was on the ice for.
That's right, because Barzal was covering Leddy's spot.
My apologies then, but I would say Ryan Pullock has got to be better, and then for Tampa Bay, does anyone else have a milk carton with Steven Stamkos's name or face on the back of it? Because I have one in my refrigerator right now. I can tell you that, because that guy is just, I don't know where he is. He's looked invisible. And credit to the Islanders for shutting him down, but he needs to start digging down, put on his big boy pants, and come into play with an edge, because he just doesn't look like he's invested in it. Get your big boy pants on, sack up, be a man, get out there and start throwing your weight around a little bit. Start digging more. I haven't seen anything from him. He needs to be better.
Cooper actually benched him after he caused the turnover on Barzal's goal in the first game, and Cooper actually sat him on the bench for a while. He didn't see the ice again. Tampa Bay got a power play later in that game. Good.
He shouldn't. He hasn't been. And you know what? He didn't respond in game 2. So now, if Cooper's serious, if Cooper wants his team to go back to back, he needs Steven Stamkos to be much better than Steven Stamkos has been in this play. And I'm not even just talking in this series. Steven Stamkos has not been good in this playoffs. He hasn't.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. He's had, I think, a couple power play points. He had one last night, but no, not really. He hasn't. He was my guy that I was going to say, and it was going to be either him or Anthony Cirelli that needs to step up. But, I mean, we all have Jordan Eberle, by the way. Jordan Eberle also was on that same milk carton.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're pros, and Eberle will just come out of nowhere and score the Game 5 overtime winner like he did last year.
You know what? At least I could say with Jordan Eberle, though, I'd rather have him right now, because at least when he's not scoring, he's still kind of making things happen. And he's still playing a decent defensive game, although he's not great defensively. Stamkos has been worthless, really.
Yeah, that turnover in Game 1 was terrible. There's no way to slice that. So, guys, quickly, what is your Game 3 headline? Anthony, you first.
So far, the prior 2 series has been the Islanders splitting on the road and then actually dropping at Game 3, tying the series in Game 4, and then going on to win the series. So essentially winning 3 straight after falling behind 2-1. I think that trend breaks this series, so I do think the Islanders take Game 3 tomorrow. I'm going to say, Barzal powers Islanders to victory in Game 3. I think he's like I said, he's skating well. I think he's going to make an impact tomorrow. And again, the Islanders are home. He's going to get away from the matchup that Tampa Bay's been putting on him, and hopefully that benefits the Islanders.
Filk?
I'm going to say back in the New York groove, Islanders win Game 3. I think they're going to come back strong, and the home crowd in the last change are definitely going to help them. I think they're winning Game 3. I think the teams will split at the Coliseum, but I think the Islanders are probably going to take Game.
I think they're going to split as well, but my headline is going to be the opposite direction from you guys. Lightning strikes the barn. And I think the Lightning are going to take Game 3. I think they're going to drop Game 4. Because, again, you were talking about that trend. It seems to be I don't want to say they let up against the Bruins. They definitely let up against the Penguins. Because the Penguins came out. They could have blown their doors off in Game 3. But, fortunately, they had Tristan Jarry in that. We also want to know what you guys think. Fortunately, I got at least 4 people watching right now, but you've been also watching all the videos, liking all the videos, and sharing all the videos. Don't forget to comment as well. We like to talk hockey. That's why we're even doing this to begin with.
They're all
So you can also put a comment right now, and I'll put.
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.